So I've told this story in one of my previous videos on how I got started into the ATM business. Now, it's a story that I find pretty interesting that I should share with all of you because it's one of the ways that you can get into the ATM business or any other business. It's a method that has been going on through all the social media platforms. It's called seller financing. But before I tell you what seller financing is, I think it's important for me to tell you that I got started in the ATM business with only 3 ATMs. And since then, I went up to 11 ATMs, which may seem like a lot, but it's really not. It's still a small route compared to a lot of people in the game. I know a lot of ATM owners with 50, 100, 200, 300 ATMs. Now those guys are killing it in the game, but everyone starts somewhere, right? Majority of people get into the ATM business through a lot of different methods. The most common way that people get into the business is by getting a machine, getting a location, getting it under contract, and hoping that it goes well. There's a lot of things that have to get done in order for you to just start this business. And I didn't want to deal with the headache of starting it off from the very beginning. So I did it a little bit different compared to a lot of other people. I decided to go the more expensive route, which is buying the ATM route from somebody else, somebody that wanted to get out of the business. And I still remember the day like it was just yesterday. I don't remember the website, but I went on this website where they sell businesses and I was looking for businesses, and this was around the time that when my mind was just thinking about buying other businesses, because ultimately that's my lifelong goal, is to own multiple businesses, and they don't have to be multi-million-dollar businesses. Like, I'm okay with having a couple here and there that are doing fairly good profits, because for me it's just more of pride of ownership to have multiple businesses that I really care about, and that's what kind of strives me and moves me, and that's what I'm really passionate about later down the road. So I went on this website and I found somebody that was selling this ATM route, and I contacted a bunch of these different owners, and I found this owner who was selling this route nearby where I was living at. We sent each other all of our information. I actually met with them at the ATM locations. I checked out the business and I really fell in love with it. I loved the location on where my ATMs were at, and I thought it was going to be a really good purchase. And not only that, but the guy who was selling me the business was willing to train me for 2 weeks until I got adjusted and was able to handle the whole entire route by myself. The only problem was that I didn't have the capital to buy the entire business. In fact, the original offer for the ATM business was going to cost me about $48,000. And this was solely only for the business itself, which is the locations, the contracts, and the machines. I still needed an additional $30,000 to be able to work that size of a business. I couldn't come up with the money. But I personally thought that it was a really great deal because it was 2 times the profit that it was going to make. Meaning in 2 years, even though I invested these $48,000, I was gonna get my return, which I thought was a great deal and a great way to start earning passive income, right? So I wanted this business. I mean, where else was I gonna put my money? Stocks, real estate, and all these cryptos, or like whatever else investment thing that's out there? I looked at almost every single investment out there, and they're all pretty risky and they all take too long to get your return. And at this point in my life, they don't have the most important thing that I'm looking for, which is cash flow. Cash is king. So after talking about it for some time and just trying to convince myself on whether I should take this risk or not, I finally convinced myself that I wanted to take this risk, that I wanted to take this big move towards my life because I knew it was the right thing to do and the numbers made sense. The only problem was the fact that I didn't have the capital, but the way I saw it was this: I can find the money. Plus, I'm really young, meaning I'm only 24. I can take these types of risks. The biggest risk was the fact that if I bought this route and those numbers were fake and I didn't do my numbers correctly and my due diligence correctly, then I would be out, what, $48,000, $24,000, or whatever amount of money that I would probably lose in the whole entire deal. I'm still young enough where I can afford to take an L, where I can work just a couple more years and try to recoup on my loss, which is why I tell people, if you're young, go ahead and take the most amount of risk that you possibly can, because it's only fair game. So why not take a risk, right? I love taking risks, but I'm a completely different person compared to a lot of other people. I'm really risk averse, meaning I can take really great risk without being so fearful like a lot of other people. Take your own risk based on your own fear tolerance. So for me, I was willing to take an L. and I didn't really care. So how did I even come up with the money? That's where we're going to next. I think it's important that I mention that the business was going to cost me $48,000 for 8 machines. This is including the locations, the ATMs, the contracts, and just everything that it went into just owning the machines. It did not include running the machines. In the ATM business, you need to put your own cash in order for it to work. So I needed to come up with an additional $30,000 that we like to call vaulting money. Without that money, you really have no business to even run. So I needed about $70,000 to even get this route. I didn't have the money. That's a lot of money. I told you I went the expensive route. So at this point in my life, I was ready to give up. I'm like, maybe it's not meant for me. It's not meant for me to own this ATM business. I was about ready to give up. But I remember that at this point, you have to do what people tell you to do, which is ask your friends and family for help. And at this point in my life, I didn't really have a track record of success. So when you don't have a track record, people aren't going to believe you or have some willingness to try to just give you their money and hope to get a return. Fortunately for me, I had a mom who did believe in me. She believed in me so much that she gave me $10,000 and I had only $15,000. So I was at $25,000. I was still short. Not only was I short, but I was going all in. This was all my money, all the money that I've saved up from all the sales that I've been getting. Everything was going in here. I was going all in on this deal. At this point during the deal, the seller was getting anxious of getting rid of the location. So he was really trying to sell this location because it was around the time that things were shutting down and he didn't know what was going to happen. And the seller was trying to sell because he was just tired of having to drive out to this area every week. I mean, now that I've been in the business, I can understand why. Because now I have multiple locations in different areas. And yeah, sometimes location does play a huge factor in all this. And I understand why some ATM business owners would like to sell pieces of their route, because it's also not a passive income stream. However, this was the perfect opportunity for me and can be a perfect opportunity for you if you find someone that is in a similar position where they want to get rid of their business. And this is where seller financing comes into place. For those of you who don't know, seller financing is used when an owner completely owns an asset or a business, which then he or she can become a bank. They'll let you make payments until the balance is completely paid off. Of course, they're probably going to ask you for some sort of deal where you put a down payment and they get charged in interest. But this type of financing beats any other loan out there. So I figured I would try something at least. And I always believe honesty is the best policy. So this is how it went down. I went up to the broker and to the owner and I told them, hey, I really love the business. I can see myself doing this. I would love to take over. Unfortunately, I just don't have the funds. This is how much I have. Is there a way that we can work something out? And at first the owner was kind of, I don't know, he was kind of off of it because he wanted to get paid full and he didn't want to wait for the payout. But he said he would think about it. And just a couple of days later, we came up with a deal. And I'm really grateful of this deal because the guy, and this is how I know the guy is a really great guy and he's really nice, because he didn't want me to fail. He structured this deal where I would succeed in the business. We came up with a deal where I would put $5,000 down at signing. That way he can unlist the business so he can know that I was serious. At closing, I would bring in another $6,000, putting me at $11,000. However, we came up with the idea that for now, I would only buy half of the machines, meaning I would only buy 4 ATMs instead of the 8 at half the cost, which was $24,000, which was still the equivalent of it making 2 times the amount of profit. So I thought it was a really great deal because all in all, I was only going to go in with $11,000 and I still had enough money to use for vaulting. And the extra $13,000, he was going to finance me at 0% interest for an entire year. And considering these ATMs were bringing in about $400 to $600 a month, that really meant that I was going to pay only $6,000 throughout the course of a year because I would be taking in profits, which for me, it made sense. Personally, I thought that it was a great deal because I was finally gonna get my feet wet and start generating passive income. I personally thought it was a really great deal with the seller financing, but that wasn't the best part of it all. Honestly, the best part of the entire deal was the relationship that I actually got to build with the seller. You see, initially he was only supposed to train me for 2 weeks and then I was going to be out on my own. But somehow we kind of clicked and we had this connection, and I showed him that I was really about it and I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to hustle, that he took fond of me. And we actually grew this connection even stronger now, where he trusted me with even more ATMs of his, and we still have that contract where I can buy the other remaining ATMs, and I've been able to expand because of his help. You know, he's been training me ever since, and honestly, I wouldn't be in the position that I am without his help. And this is why I tell people, in business, relationships matter. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. It's really important that you keep your relationships in business really strong, because those things can be the things that either make you or break you. Which is why for me, I try to be friends with everyone and I try to earn everyone's trust. This is why I try to show people that I'm working just as hard as them or even harder, and I'm really here to earn my spot in the world. When you do good by others, good things will happen to you. Because this guy, and just like a lot of people in the Facebook group for ATMs, they've helped me out a ton. If it wasn't for all these people who are willing to help, I wouldn't be in the position that I am now. I love this ATM business. This ATM business has a lot of people who want you to succeed, just as much as I want all of you to succeed as well. At the end, I want to say that I got a really great deal. Because of this business, this ATM business has been keeping me alive through everything that I went through last year. A lot of the ups and downs. If it wasn't for the money that I'm generating because of my ATM business, I would have lost this game of life a couple of months ago. But I've been able to stay alive because of my ATM business. It was the best and smartest move that I did, and I'm only gonna make smarter moves because of it. I personally think that it was God helping me out and giving me a layup on this one, because I wouldn't have made it this far without his help. I share with you this story not to brag, but to inspire you to take risks. Because in this life, the people who take risks are the people who succeed. But you have to keep on looking for these opportunities. As long as you keep looking for opportunities, money will not be the issue. It's rarely ever not money the issue. It's finding the deal. If you can find the deal, you can find the money, and you can find the opportunity. For those people who keep on looking for opportunities, eventually someone opens the door, and you just have to be ready for that. Not to mention that seller financing is the best way to buy anything, especially real estate and businesses, which right now is going off the roof. So if you've been thinking about getting into any sort of business, I would highly consider you checking out seller financing, because it's the best way to buy anything. In fact, I love it so much that I'm actually considering to do this again by buying another business or another route using seller financing. Either way, hopefully you guys found some value in this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.